Hey guys, Kevin Burgess back yet again with another video. Welcome to this video. I'm excited about the content of this. I'm going to be talking about the 5 decisions needed to be wealthy. And I'm going to mix in actually some of my own personal story here. So hopefully you find this to be inspirational and motivational because that's the intent of the video. So without further ado, let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to share a little bit today about the 5 decisions needed to be wealthy. So before we get started, I'm not an investment professional, so anything we talk about here is going to be for educational and hopefully motivational purposes only. If you like this video and want to give it a thumbs up, I would really appreciate that. It lets others know that the content of this video is meaningful and it's something that they may want to watch. Also, if you want to learn more about dividend investing and you want to walk this journey with me in dividend investing, then consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to have you along for the journey, and I would really appreciate it. So I'm going to talk today about the 5 decisions needed to be wealthy. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's start with decision number 1. Decide who you are. It's important that as dividend growth investors and as wealthy people, we decide today who we want to be in the future. So as we make decisions from here on out, we don't make decisions as a poor person trying to become wealthy. We make decisions as a wealthy person who just happens to not have a lot of assets, but he is going to have assets in the future. A great example of that is Muhammad Ali. I'd like to play this clip for you.
I am the greatest. 15 times I have told the clown what round he's going down, and this chump ain't no different. He'll fall an 8 to prove that I'm great, and if he keeps talking jive, I'm going to cut it to 5.
So as you can tell, Muhammad Ali was about to fight Sonny Liston, and he did not say, after I beat Sonny Liston, I am going to be the greatest. He said, I am the greatest. He already had in his mind who he was, and so he was going to carry out that vision of his future. So every decision that he made was based on that vision. And so as wealthy people, we make decisions today based on the fact that not because we want to be wealthy, but because we are wealthy. We make wealthy decisions because we are wealthy. Regardless of how much money we have, we are wealthy. So keep that in mind. The second thing I'd like to point out here is part of my personal story. When I was young, I was a young teenager, very impressionable. My dad worked for a factory, and that factory went on strike. And that factory was on strike for about a 4-month period. And I recall my mom buying groceries. We didn't have much money, so she would buy things like potatoes, flour, milk, beans, cornmeal, things like that that would fill up kids, but was not very expensive. Over a 4-month period of time, I mean, she was very creative, but it's really hard to get too creative when that's all you have to work with. So I remember distinctly a man bringing a ham to our house and giving it to us. And my mom sliced that ham, and that was the best smelling ham I had ever had in my life. And she made a ham sandwich for me, and that was the best tasting ham that I had ever had. I remember walking out into the backyard after having that ham, saying to myself that I was going to be so successful that I could have a ham sandwich whenever I wanted. Now, that probably doesn't sound like much to you, but that was a pivot point in my life. And it didn't have to be, fire from heaven, pivot point. It was a pivot point that was meaningful to me and changed my whole trajectory. And you may have the same kind of pivot points in your life. I was telling this story to a guy the other day, and he said, "Wow, you're one of the few people that I've ever heard that gets, motivated by a dead pig." But let me tell you, that was the best tasting dead pig I'd ever had in my life. Decision number two is decide that you are a good investment. It's important that you understand that you are worthy of investing in and that you have the capability to become much bigger than you are today. Not physically, but much better, in terms of what you do and what skill sets you bring and what value you bring to an organization than you are today. So I want you to take a listen to this clip from Warren Buffett on "You Have It in Yourself."
These people had one thing in common. They knew they had it in themselves. They knew they could be something beyond where they were. They were willing to put their time, their energies to better themselves. What you really could do with more skills, it's just remarkable.
So you can do this. You have the ability to learn. You have the ability to grow, and it's important that you realize and make the decision that you're going to invest in yourself. And also, one other thing I'll point out, just from a personal perspective, is don't be afraid to do the jobs that no one else wants to do. I took several jobs in my career that no one else really wanted to do. And I remember one of them being a job that was pretty thankless. I mean, if the job went well, it was expected, and if the job didn't go well, it was very visible to all the senior executives in the company. So it was a job that nobody really wanted. But I took that job, and I learned a lot about leadership. I learned about politics in the company. So I learned a tremendous amount in that job. So don't be afraid to do jobs that others don't want to do. It's great learning ground. And if you can make those jobs better, then you've done something really cool that is very noticeable. And then the last point inside this decision is think of yourself, as I thought of myself, as the CEO of Me Inc. So you would be the CEO of You Inc. And so as I think about me being in that CEO position, what skill sets do I want in someone who's running my personal financial company? And so since that's me, I get to decide what things I want to learn and how I want to grow in that role. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself as the CEO of your financial company. Decision number three is to decide to focus your vision on the future. And I'd like for you to listen to this Jordan Peterson video on sacrifices, helping you to discover the future.
Sacrifice. What does that mean, sacrifice? Well, it's a discovery, man. It's the discovery of the future. It's like the future is actually the place where there is threat. And it's always going to be there. So what do? You make sacrifices in the present so that the future is better. Right. Everyone does that. That's what you're doing right now. That's what you're doing here. That's what your parents are doing when they pay money to send you to university. They think, you can bargain with reality. It's amazing. You can bargain with reality. You can forestall gratification now. And it'll pay off at a place and time that doesn't even exist yet.
So as we think about the sacrifices that we make today to invest in assets moving forward, it's really discovering that future that these sacrifices today help us to achieve. So let me point out a couple of things. I'll put a graph here in front of you. On the left-hand side, you'll see a job, and that job provides a salary. That salary covers also expenses as well as liabilities. But there's no room left for building assets. And so the only thing that the, non-wealthy or poor person would bring in, regardless of how much money they're making, they can make $1 million a year and still be poor, right? I mean, you can make $20,000 a year and be wealthy. It just depends on your mindset. You make that decision. So on the right-hand side, you see a wealthy person who is living below their means in such a way that they can provide assets that provide additional income to help grow their worth and their wealth. The next graph that I would put up, which I find very helpful, is, and I think this comes from Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant. And if you haven't read that, it's a pretty good read. But there's 4 categories of income here that he points out. One is as an employee, so that's the top left quadrant. And basically, as an employee, there is no leverage. You basically are trading your time for pay. And so there's no real leverage there. And also being self-employed. So if you have a service like, if you're an electrician, a plumber, roofer, contractor, anything like that where you're providing a service, then you are also still with no leverage. You might make more money that way, but you still have no leverage because your time being invested in that activity is what makes you money. So the third area is a business owner. That's in the top right-hand quadrant. There is leverage there because you have employees who are working for you, making you money, but they still need your direction. They need your vision. They need your hand kind of guiding the business so that they can be the best that they can be for you. And so you have some leverage there, but it's still very dependent on you. And then the last one is the bottom right, which is the investor. And that investor is where we want to be. This is where wealth happens. Warren Buffett has said that if you don't learn how to make money while you sleep, then you will work until you die. And so as we look at this 4th quadrant, this is the way to passive income. It is investing in assets like dividend growth assets who are providing dividends that are continuously growing year after year based on solid business models. And that money that you're investing has gone out and it's actually made money for you. So there is tremendous leverage there because it is no longer your time that's been utilized. It is your investment of assets. Investment of money in assets that is driving that. So that's why it's important to live below our means, is because we can then have more money to put into those assets that are going to provide income for us later. I'll give you a couple of personal examples here. One is that we lived in the same house for 17 years. And as my career grew and my salary increased, my housing cost stayed pretty much the same because we didn't move. And the house was sufficient for our family. We had 4 children. It was big enough for that. And so it worked out well. And so instead of moving into bigger and bigger homes and spending more and more money on mortgages, I ended up being able to take money and invest it and turn it into assets that are creating income for me. Another example is the car that I drive is it's about 15 years old now, and it's got about 320,000 miles on it. It is a quality car, and it still runs great, but it is not the newest car on the lot. One of the things that's hard is getting over the fact that you want to be better than the next person and having, a newer vehicle, a bigger vehicle, a better vehicle, but it doesn't boil down to that. What it boils down to is, do you have something that's dependable, that's going to get you where you need to go, and it is not dangerous, it's safe. So it's important that we don't spend money on things that are not necessary, and it's that mindset and that decision that provides the nest egg, that provides the money for you to then take and invest. Decision number 4 is to decide to seek out mentors. And these mentors, Warren Buffett calls having the right heroes. So take a listen to this.
So, but the habits you develop, and I go back, the other thing is have the right heroes. I mean, I've always been lucky in that respect. And if the people you look up to are going to form your vision of what the world, how you want to be in later life.
So as we think about the heroes in our lives, those heroes can be people that we know, or even people that we don't know, but that we look up to. So for instance, Warren Buffett, I don't know him, but I do look up to him. And so it's good to have people like that in our lives. It's also important to have people that we know who are trustworthy and who want us to succeed, to come alongside us and help motivate us and hold us accountable to achieving what we want to achieve. Decision number 5 is to decide on your why. It is important that we understand that we are seeking wealth for a reason. We are not seeking wealth for wealth's sake. We're not looking to get rich just to have money. We're looking to have wealth for a purpose. And I want to take a look at this clip from Breaking Bad. I will admit that I am not a person that has watched Breaking Bad, but I thought it was a great clip to help illustrate this point.
How much is this?
I have no earthly idea. I truly don't. I just stack it up, keep it dry, spray it for silverfish. There is more money here than we could spend in 10 lifetimes. I certainly can't launder it. Not with 100 car washes. Walt, I want my kids back. I want my life back. Please tell me, how much is enough? How big does this pile have to be?
So this lady who is in this room with all this cash, she says, hey, you can have it all, or I will make this pile as big as I need it to be in order for me to have my kids back and in order for me to have my family back. So her why was not to have more money. Her why was her family and her kids. So think about in terms of why you want to be wealthy. Just to give you some sense into my reasoning, my rationale, and I talk about this a lot on the videos, it's to have personal freedom. And that personal freedom to me means investing my time, talent, and treasure in meaningful causes. So it's about having purpose in life. It's about doing the things that make a difference for others. And to me, that's very important, and that's my why on being wealthy. So take some time and think about your why. So hopefully you found that helpful. I'm now going to walk through just a quick update on the portfolio this week, as I do every week. Remember, this portfolio, I want it to be transparent, and I want you to see what's going on a week-to-week basis in this portfolio. You'll see then in the slide that's in front of you that for the week, the portfolio went up $15,590. Of that, $531 was dividends, $21 was options. And so the market change for the week was $15,038.18 increase, which was 1.8%. When I compare that to the S&P 500, the S&P 500 also went up 1.8% this week. And so for the week, we stayed even with the S&P, but we actually made $15,590. So that's a pretty sweet week. On a year-to-date basis, the portfolio is higher than it was on January 1st by $74,886. $42,400 of that was from funds that I added to the account. But then $6,000 is from dividends, $400 is from options. So the market change in the share prices was $26,031.53, which equates to a change overall of 3.4% versus the S&P 500, which went down 4.7%. So what's really kind of cool about this is that if the portfolio on a year-to-date basis was tracking the S&P 500. So if the portfolio was down 4.7% like the S&P 500, my portfolio would be smaller by about $61,000 than it is today. So having a portfolio that's actually performing well has been very rewarding and very fun to watch. So I want to thank you for staying with this video. It's been a fun video for me. It's been a very personal video for me. Hopefully it's been inspirational to you. If you found inspiration in this video, I would love to hear that. It is very motivating for me to continue doing videos like this in the future. And again, if you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel. And with that, I'll see you on the next video.